Chargers are fortunate to have Lance Allworth.
On blue, ready?
Don Coryell.
Hello, history books. Touchdown, San Diego. Woo!
What is up, everyone? Welcome into the first episode of season 2 of the Nuts and Bolts Show for all things Chargers. If you want to be a Raiders or a Broncos fans, prepare for us to curse at you in the chat. Tony, we're here, and what a start to season 2. We get to talk about the Chargers making some acquisitions already in the offseason.
I love it. Here's the other thing I want to say. You only said Broncos and Raiders. If you're a Chiefs fan, we're just going to block you. Like,
Yeah, you don't even get invited.
You don't even get to be here and watch the party. I have
Chiefs-
been buzzing, Mike.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I feel like we won a big game or something, but didn't have to play in a game. Didn't have to go through the stress of fourth down conversions.
So we're going to get to that. We'll talk a little Mike Williams, and we're going to spend some free agency money. So if you are a Chargers fan, we definitely want to see the players that you want are hoping are Chargers come next Wednesday when they can legally sign. We'll probably know who a bunch of them are by like Monday afternoon, but they'll be official on Wednesday. I'm starting the parade in my driveway, Mike. I'm not even lying.
That's Thor's hammer coming down right now from the graces, from the heavens of Justin Herbert's mighty fist. Anyways, you want to do it in chronological order? Talk about Mike Williams' deal first. What are your thoughts? I know that we're probably gonna have a little bit of different thoughts, but I'm more biased than you because I've been a fan of Mike Williams his whole life.
Here's the thing. I love Mike Williams. I think he's a tremendous football player. I don't love the contract for somebody that's only played one healthy season. That's the only thing, is that I love it, but I am cautiously optimistic. Would I love to see the next 3 years he plays a minimum of 13 to 17 games? Yes, that is what I am really hoping for. I get that every player is going to get twisted ankles, hammies, all those things. That's part of it because you were playing at such a high level. But it can't be like 6 games one season, 8 games another. So like I'm hoping everything from last year just catapults into this year, and he's a monster. Like, and this is something I was very unfair about this last year. First year in this system, Herbert, new coordinator, new pieces. Mike trying to fill that Mike Thomas role. I mean, Mike Thomas had one of the greatest years ever by a receiver. So like Mike Williams can get in that role in year 2 and 3, and Herbert can get better to where Breeze was already 17 years in the league at that point. Like it wasn't year 2 for him.
Yeah, here's a question right here. Should the Chargers trade for anyone else? We're going to talk about this in this episode. Just stick around. We're going to go through Mike Williams. We'll talk about Khalil Mack, and then we're going to get to the people we want to see the Chargers target because we still got some money to spend. Don't y'all worry. But, I agree with you to an extent. I think it is a little bit of a risky move when you look at the numbers that they gave him. Pretty big contract. I mean, that's a max deal. We're talking about maybe 10 more mil a year annually, and you're talking about Davante Adams' contract. I mean, that's it sounds like a big gap. But the gap between Mike Williams and Davante Adams as wide receivers is much larger than that $10 million gap that we're going to have. But I think it was a necessary risk. I think this offense is going to grow more from having Mike Williams there than Allen Robinson, whoever the other option was that was going to come in. I think as Herbert gets better, Mike Williams is going to get more involved. And I'll say this, Tony, if it's not this year, maybe they have another year where they're even. I think next year it's going to be pretty clear that Mike's our wide receiver 1 going forward. No offense to Keenan. I think Keenan's great. I just know that he's an explosion-based wide receiver, and those wide receivers that rely on their explosive cuts in and out of their routes, as they age, they slow down a bit. I like to see Keenan move to the slot, and I want to see Palmer and Mike Williams be the future of the wide receiver position in Los Angeles. And I think that those two together can be phenomenal for 10 years, hopefully, but 5 at the minimum, or 4. 3. It's only a 3-year deal. I thought it was much longer. That's another thing, is that we don't know where the out is. Is the out after year 2?
It's after year 2.
Okay, so if it does completely fail, we're only going to take that massive cap hit once, that $20 million cap hit once. So that part is also a little comforting.
Yeah, they can. It's a pretty clean break. I think it's like 6 or 8 million or something in that final season, but it's not really like, it's not terrible. It's not like, oh, after 2 years, all of a sudden we got to eat 18 to 25 million a dead cap or something. I believe the number I saw was between 6 and 8. Again, nothing but love for this kid, and also where he could go, right? Like, just I've had a nice break of like readjusting on Telesco, on Brandon Staley, on the ownership, like just thinking about all the things that happened. I talked to you yesterday about the possible blessing of not making the playoffs, right? Like, I don't know if do I have a minute to talk about that?
Yeah, of course. I kind of understand what you're saying. Yeah.
You what?
I kind of understand what you're saying. It puts us in better position for the offseason part of this build to a Super Bowl team.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Like, and we got to see him on the last game of the season in prime time. Everybody was watching that game. He knew the lights were the brightest. The fourth quarter that Herbert had was absolutely amazing. On the road with a chance to go to the playoffs, and he did everything he possibly could. Everybody on the team did, and it just didn't shake out in our favor, and that's fine. But you look to where that set us up in front of teams like Steelers need a quarterback. I see a comment here from Fantasy TV. They might need to trade up with us. The Saints behind us need a quarterback. They might need to trade up. The Buccaneers might need a quarterback. They might need to trade up or do something like that. So there's teams behind us that give us an opportunity to really capitalize on getting another pick with inside the top 120 picks, because we didn't go to Buffalo and potentially get Josh Allen, dropping 50 on us with that offense.
Yeah, and Josh Allen's kind of up and down. That was very much an up part of his season, probably the maximum up, which was the perfect time for him to do it, and they still somehow lost that game. That broke my heart, and I'm a Chargers fan when they lost to the Chiefs. But yeah, I'm with you. It did work out, I guess, in that favor, because once Deshaun Watson moves, which is looking like it's going to be inevitable now, any day now, maybe. And once Jimmy Garoppolo moves, I hate saying that Jimmy Garoppolo is the final starting quality QB available to be moved, all those teams are going to be QB less, trying to find a way to move up and get a QB in the draft, or trying to find some kind of option elsewhere. So I think that there is a good possibility that either the Chargers have trade partners, or teams are trying to jump the Chargers, and the players the Chargers want are sliding to them. One of the two.
Agreed. Yeah, I think there's a lot of talent, and we'll see more after free agency. There's a lot of questions coming in here. I don't know if you want to get to some of these guys to see Dizzo, and I don't know what this is, but I'm going to mess it up. STK.
Oh yeah, STK. Yeah, we're going to talk about all these additions at the end. We're going to talk about Khalil Mack next. Steelers QB. Maybe we'll do a Q&A at the end for the non-Chargers comments. Should the Chargers go for O-lineman to replace Bulaga? I think the answer is yes. But now with the Khalil Mack contract coming in, rumors were heavily interested in J.C. Jackson. I'm just counting the dollar signs, and the math is leading to the Chargers taking a huge risk on putting Bulaga on the field next year. But we'll see.
I have a plan for that, and you'll see that in my breakdown of the players.
Stephon Gilmore, Chargers are interested in Stephon Gilmore as well. I think he's a backup plan. There's rumors they're like interested in picking up 2 DBs. I don't know if it'd be like a Stephon Gilmore and a J.C. Jackson. It would probably be an either or and a lesser, cheaper option like a Chardavius Ward or whoever else is back there. Stevie Nelson.
Rasul Douglas or something, maybe.
Those guys. Mike, my boy, what's up, Armando? All right, let's move on to the big addition. Khalil Mack, Tony. Khalil Mack is a Los Angeles Charger. And I absolutely love the move because it shows that for the first time, Tom Telesco is ready to go ahead and say, we're going all in. We're making a push at the Super Bowl. All those years of ending off seasons with $20 million in the books for Philip Rivers that could help Philip Rivers with one more big player or two more big players and get say he a Jared Tutu out of the receiving core that they could have made moves, and they just never made the moves before. It just seems like it was always safe. Chargers never made big trades, never big free agencies coming in back-to-back years. Corey Linsley, Khalil Mack, two players that can transform both the D-line and the O-line. I love it. There's a little bit of risk there, but that's why we got him for free. It's because there is a little bit of risk there, from the money to what he's going to do on the field and the injury risk. Tony, I know you're ecstatic about the move as well, but anything to add on the little breakdown?
Yes, I do. And I want to say this. This kind of move not only catapults your team. Like, if we had Khalil Mack last year, we probably win that Vikings game. We can slow down Delvin Cook a little bit more, and Kirk Cousins doesn't have as much time to just sit back and cherry pick to Justin Jefferson the entire game. We probably win the Patriots game. It's at least in a little bit better hand. We have better field position, better pressure on a rookie QB with him. Also, stopping the run in that game was an issue. So it's like stopping a run in so many games last year. But most importantly, you got to take big swings. Free agents are looking around and going, oh shit, Chargers aren't playing around. Chargers are not. They just went out and traded. They added salary, right? Because this is basically, we just added $23 million. The cap hit was pretty big on this one or whatever. So it's like they are letting free agents know, yes, you may have heard rumors of the Chargers or whatever it is. And yes, you've heard of Justin Herbert, but now our front office is in on it. And we're going and we're taking big swings. And this idea that Khalil Mack is somehow injured all the time or not playing, this dude's numbers, I sent you the tweet that came out where they talk about the QB pressures. Just imagine if him and Bosa are averaging like 8-9 QB pressures a game between the two of them at the end of the year, right?
That's 20.
25 plus sacks to me, 25 sacks, I would be okay with it, but I'd be a little disappointed because I think that we're going to be playing with some leads next year because of this offense, which means more opportunity for pass rush. Means Jerry Tillery should explode this year. I'm so pumped about this. I can't stop talking about it.
And it's a contract year for Jerry Tillery too. So now all of a sudden he's a guy that we're watching like, okay, buddy, here's a good chance for you to really, I think I said 8 sacks in a text message to you, but 8 to 10, even 7, but like with a bunch of pressures. I'm down for it. I love it. This team can combine for 30 sacks next year. They really can, especially if both Bosa and Mack play 14-plus games together. That's going to be insane. We need them for the playoffs, obviously. But, yeah, I'm seeing everyone saying that he's washed. He hasn't done anything since 2016. But then I pull up some highlights here from 3 months ago or 6 months ago, wherever it was. 2021, this was happening. And I just see Khalil Mack dominating people still. He just runs right through the O-lineman there. This is just a 50-second reel. Here's him chasing down Baker, which isn't a big brag, but...
Well, here's the thing about that.
That's not a slow and out-of-touch player.
The Browns actually have a good offensive line. You get a sack against the Bengals, it's kind of like, well, I mean, Justin Simmons is like, I did that in my sleep. But you get a sack against the Browns, it's like you're doing the right thing. It's a good offensive line. The fact of the matter is, our biggest problem last year was not having any backers to help stop the run. Like it was Kaiser White running on a solo mission to try and save the day, and he can't do it. He's not Darius Leonard. He's good. I really love Kaiser. I want him to be re-signed, but he's
look at this.
He's not Ray Lewis.
Watch this old, slow, out of touch outside linebacker run this stunt like he's been launched out of a rocket. I'm coming right for him, right through a man, and just brings him down. I mean, he still has some juice, and it's a lot of juice. Even 80% of Khalil Mack's prime is one of the best players in the NFL.
Look how beautiful that is.
And while Aaron's on the ground, he's talking mess to him. He did that to Brady last year, too. or 2 years ago, just bullied Tristan Wirfs, and then was just talking crap to.
Oh, he
Brady on
that's when he threw him like a rag doll. That is like one of my favorite highlights. That should be part of our opening this year.
Oh no, those are just the highlights of Khalil Mack on his way to 16 sacks last year before he had a freak foot injury. Joe, yeah, you should like Mack. If he goes to the Hall of Fame or something, he's gonna go with some silver and black representation. How can you be against Mack?
No, he's gonna be a black man who wears powder blue. That's what he's going to the Hall of Fame. That's the whole. Yeah, that's blue. It. He's gonna be a brother wearing powder blue, putting on a jacket.
Let's see here. We got some more comments here. Mack isn't elite. He is higher than above average, lower than elite. I think that he's great. I think that when you talk about the elite pass rushers in the NFL, is Mack outside the top 10 at this point? I know he's not outside the top 15, but he's right there around 10. Bosa's only a couple ranks above. Like, you're going to have two guys that are at the top of the game right now going after one guy.
They're number 2 and number 4 in pass rush percentage, right? Yeah. And that's everybody, when I use that stat for somebody, they go, well, who cares about that stat? And I go, that's the same stat you gave me about Aaron Donald's greatness like 6 months ago. So if it applies for Aaron Donald, who's number 3, then it can apply for my argument with Khalil Mack. Like, you can't be wishy-washy on what PFF stats you like and which ones you don't.
And now we have 3 guys that I call game wreckers on the defensive side of the ball. Just 3 guys that can change the game on any play. Any play. Snap of the ball, and boom, the game could change on that play. In Derwin James, Khalil Mack, and Joey Bosa. And there's another guy that the Chargers are interested that is also a game wrecker that takes the ball away quite a bit. And we could transition into it, Tony, of our moves if you want to go first.
Yeah, I do. I'm going to steal your thunder on this one, and because this guy's going to be on both of our lists. But I would say that of the $35 million left, the bulk of the money that I would spend on is J.C. Jackson. I would go out. I would get a number 1 corner. I listened to every single Brandon Staley interview I could find, and he talks about air in the defense. He talks about figuring out ways to lessen some of that. Now, you need a pass rush to do that because guys can only stay in good coverage for so long. So J.C. Jackson, the rumors are about $18 million. I think that the smoke might get so dangerous on this guy. Chargers might have to end up signing him for $20 million or giving him a bigger bonus or something like that. I would be okay with them pushing the limits on this guy during Justin Herbert's rookie contract. And then maybe there's a year left over that goes in and it's like, how do we figure this out type of a situation? He's still playing elite, working into an extension, whatever it is. But he'd be my number 1 to really give Staley a chance to put his thing in there. Then the D-line. All offseason we've talked, Akeem Hicks. But I think to get some youth, because we got an older player in Mack, we get youth on Jackson, Sebastian Joseph Day, around $8 million. There is the projected salary there. And then I want to get another young guy for our defense, but proven again. These guys all earned first contracts. I'm going with Lavondre Campbell out of Green Bay. Scott Pioli was raving about this guy's ability at middle linebacker. There's another linebacker who might be a little cheaper from Atlanta that had 192 tackles last year. He's got an African name. I'm not even going to try to say it without looking at it, but he's also a guy that was there. Switching over to the offensive side of the ball. Somebody up there asked about Bulaga. I think it was STK. I would cut Brian Bulaga. I would say, unless you have some sort of deal with Corey Linsley and their buddies and, they all get together, I would cut him. I wouldn't go through another year of this and just say, hey, it's not been great. And that would give us another 10, which I didn't even play with in this scenario. But then I would sign Joseph Noteboom. He's an offensive tackle, played pretty nicely in Andrew Whitworth's absence in some really big games. And I think you could put him at right tackle. And it's worth it. They're projecting his salary between $4 and $5 million. So I wrote it down for 5 here. And then this is one that we haven't talked about. It's not necessarily a position of need. The Browns put a tender on Dearness Johnson.
I like it.
Dearness Johnson, if you went there and said, hey, 2 years, $3 million per season or something, like, we'll give you a $6 million contract or whatever, then the Browns have to be like, all right, they have the chance to say, oh, we'll match that, or you can go play somewhere else. So he's a restricted free agent, but I think it's worth a conversation for a guy that doesn't have a lot of carries, but averages over 5 yards a touch in the NFL and runs between the tackles and would be a great change of pace for Austin Eckler. And as Eckler's tackles start to go up, you start giving more to this kid in, end of year 1, year 2, like that. He's got burst. I think it's worth bringing in a running back that's already started games in the NFL, meaningful games in the NFL. So Dearness Johnson will be my last player there. That would keep us somewhere under 35 on the cap hit.
I like it. To summarize, who were the ones that you picked up from the top?
So defensive side of the ball was J.C. Jackson,
Yeah.
Lavondre Campbell from Green Bay, Sebastian Joseph Day from the Rams, Joe Noteboom from the Rams, and Dearness Johnson from the Cleveland Browns, running back.
Okay, cool. So I think that it's cool. We went different directions a little bit, not intentionally. I am also going to go with J.C. Jackson. I think this is a slam dunk, and the Chargers can't go wrong here. J.C. Jackson is a game wrecker. Even if you're worried about J.C. Jackson having to be the lockdown corner, I know that he's more of a zone guy than a man guy, but he's very good at man coverage too, is what I've noticed from more and more digging on the guy. He's just all around just a really good football player and a really good defensive back. I think he's going to fit perfect in with this defense. You got Derwin James, who's a ball hawking kind of guy, can take the ball away. You got J.C. Jackson's a ball hawk who can take the ball away, paired with the pass rush, forcing quarterbacks to get the ball out earlier than they want to. It's just a match made in heaven. It's perfect. I think JC will love living in LA. I think he'll love playing on this defense because he likes to celebrate after he gets an interception. Well, guess what? We go and take a picture at the end of the end zone every time we get a turnover on defense. It just all makes sense. I also have 18 mil marked down, but I'm okay with going upwards of that. I think, though, that the Chargers can possibly work a large signing bonus, low cap hit contract with JC. And it may shock us that year 1 cap hit. We may be like, oh, snap. They got him for 11 on the cap, even though they spent 25 total pay. And then, of course, in the next couple seasons, it's going to be 20 every year. But my next pickup was similar thoughts on the defensive side of the ball. Let's really finish off the D-line. But I wanted to get someone cheap because I have one more big signing for the offensive side of the ball. I went with DJ Jones to fill a similar role that you went with to go with Sebastian Joseph Day. I don't think that we need a superstar at D tackle anymore. I think that since it looks like the Chargers are keeping Linval Joseph, he's going to be involved in the run stop game a little bit more than he was last year. Probably going to come out on third downs, and then DJ Jones can come in and be our pass rushing interior D lineman with Jerry Tillery. And of course, Bosa and both Bosa and Mack move across the line. So if we need to use them in situations, we can use them in situations. I can't believe that we have Khalil Mack. What a freaking blessing. But anyways, for the defense, similar mindset with Devondre Campbell. But like I said, I need to be a little cheap because I'm picking up another big weapon on offense. I went with Jordan Hicks. I think that he'll be serviceable with Kaiser White, and we can make it work with those two in the middle with the D-line being as good as it is. They're going to open up the lanes, and all Kaiser's good at it. Kenneth is not. All the linebackers have to do is just fill the hole and force those running backs to go out, and then boom, they're in Bosa and they're in Mack's lap. Again, can't believe we have Khalil Mack. For offense, I also was looking at running back. I want James Conner. But the thing is I'm taking a huge risk with the last signing. Instead of going right tackle, I'm going to say that we get the 10 mil to make it 35 from a Bosa restructure. We keep Bulaga out there, draft somebody, call up that kid from the practice squad, whatever it is, have a contingency plan in place for Bulaga. But this guy can help with pass blocking if he absolutely has to. I'm going to sign tight end Rob Gronkowski as my final pick.
I like that, and I actually think we might sign Rob Gronkowski. I'm not sure how it works with like structuring that contract, but I think he'd like to be in LA for his like endeavors after, right? Wrestling, Hollywood, TV, all that good stuff. And he wants to play with a quarterback that can get him the ball in a fun offense, and it's like I could definitely see a 1-year deal come on out here to like maybe some incentives or whatever it is. I wouldn't be mad about any of these signings. Jordan Hicks would be on mine. I think Campbell is a potential all-pro linebacker. That's why I had him, and I would pay a little bit extra for him. I think, I like the idea of bringing in players that like in 2 years, you might be like, oh my goodness, this guy's a steal. I don't think Jordan Hicks is that guy. But to me, Lavondre Campbell could be that guy where like, wait, we're only paying him $9 million this year. It's like, this guy might hold out and ask for more money. Like, I like those kind of problems where it's like players are just outdoing their contracts performance-wise. I don't love James Conner. I love him, the story, the player, whatever. Like, I just feel like there's always injuries. Like, he stayed healthy for most of 1 year in Arizona, but remember all those Pittsburgh years where it was like James Conner shoulder, James Conner leg, thigh. Like, he missed
that's what got him out of Pittsburgh at the end of the day. This dude was good. I mean, he was a beast for a couple of years there. I just think that stylistically, a guy like him, a guy like Leonard Fournette also, but it's just so expensive to get a name like that. These guys, if you can get them to stay healthy long enough, it's perfect. I like the Dearness Johnson move also. We just need a big body dude. We need Kellen Ballage, but just a little bit better than that. Because Kellen Ballage, when he came in, that was the best I'd seen our run game be since Melvin Gordon left.
Yeah, like I was looking around to see I couldn't remember about Kareem Hunt, and I just sort of ran out of time where I was like looking around. I do think I do think that there's a couple rookie running backs. The problem is that they're never going to trust these guys early on in pass coverage, right? Like, that's why I was like looking around. I'm like, oh, Dearness Johnson is already legit. He picks up the blitz well in case they want to have him in there on a third down. Like, and he's been a starter. And I could see the pushback being, oh, the Browns have one of the best lines. Chargers have a very good line and have a chance to be better if they can figure out the right tackle situation. So, I mean, they had 2 guys go to the Pro Bowl. That's a pretty good start. And now you get a right tackle out there.
Both all pro first team too. The center and the left tackle. You guys may have heard of their names before.
I want to interact with STK. He's asking.
Yeah, here we go. I was about to go to the comments here and answer some of these questions. So here we go. Seahawks fan, but the Chargers are looking scary. Khalil and Bosa on different sides. Yeah, a lot of sacks. Tony, you seen these jersey swaps? He looks good in some powder blue as well. It fits.
Yes, it does. He looks like a killer. I cannot wait to see him on Sunday.
The Incredible Hulk. Plus an elite offense. Yeah, that's the thing, that all these moves that me and Tony are bringing up are just setting the Chargers up to be, dare I say it, a top five. That's crazy.
Well, the other thing that Brandon Staley said was that a lot of people don't understand how good Mike Davis is, and that he thinks once he can really deploy a pass rush that doesn't make the run game vulnerable, he said people are going to see how good Mike Davis is in man coverage. And I was like, okay. And I could see it. He's big, he's athletic, and he played amazing last year. Like, he's really good, and maybe that is the case. Maybe he gets more. You're going to get more chances at interceptions if guys are afraid Khalil Mack is going to crush them. Joey Bosa, Derwin James is sneaking up in the box. We're gonna
and think about it. J.C. Jackson is covering Hunter Renfrow. Derwin James is covering Darren Waller. Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa are coming after Derek Carr, and Derek Carr is throwing balls at Zay Jones into coverage.
Well, I think I was gonna save this for Joe later, but I think somehow Jimmy G is gonna end up in Las Vegas, and I think Derek Carr is going to end up in. I saw a rumor about Cleveland. I saw Derek Carr being rumored to the Colts. I think Derek Carr ends up elsewhere, and I think Joe ends up with Jimmy G, who's familiar with McDaniel's offense, knows it, and here's the thing, we might not hear, I know that you're laughing because we are going to troll the shit out of Joe Morley, our third partner in crime here, Warzone. But Jimmy G had shoulder surgery or whatever, and they won't know about throwing for a little bit. I think that the Raiders are going to get involved with some Deshaun Jackson, some trades, I think we're going to see Jimmy G in a Raiders uniform. How do you like that, Joe Morley?
I enjoy it a lot, and I could see the vision. Josh McDaniels, like, this is the peak right now. Everyone needs a quarterback. We can get first-round picks for Derek Carr right now, and I think they sincerely can. Derek Carr is a good quarterback. What you saw Stafford go for, Carr's not as good as Stafford, but 2 first-round picks. What do you think? I think it's close to that at this point in time with him.
Yeah, and I mean, does it make sense? Could you see Jimmy G going and reuniting with Josh McDaniels?
Yeah, I could, because McDaniels could go and talk to the Niners and be like, no one wants Jimmy G now. Everyone got their quarterback, so let's get him for a third or get him for really cheap, and they start to build the team up from there around Jimmy Garoppolo. It's a dumbass move. It would be so dumb, but I could see it going down.
Yeah. But to me, it's just funny that, like, I saw a lot of Raiders fans being like, people said we wouldn't make the playoffs last year. I'm like, yeah, but what about the 8 years before that where you hadn't done jack shit?
20 years before that.
Yeah.
Here we go. Who do you think is better, Tony? Would you rather? I think we'd rather have JC. But let's say we get Gilmore for half the price. Which one would you rather have? Half the price Gilmore or the max deal to JC? I think I'm still going JC. What do you think?
I would rather have JC because I want the defensive guys I picked were youthful. And I think that if you're going to spend some big money before, you want proven youthful talent to go with Herbert. And the ones that pan out get contract extensions next to Herbert in exactly. 2-3 seasons from now, you know?
That's exactly what I was going to say. For JC, he's a guy, he signs the deal now. The deal ends when we're about to bring Herbert back. So you can kind of, hopefully we've won a Super Bowl by then. But even if we haven't, you can kind of be like, okay, who's our core? Who do we have to hold on to? Okay, Bosa's going to stay. JC's going to stay. Derwin's going to stay. And we'll make the tough decisions with other players. Because, yes, we're going to get money strapped when we got to pay Herbert. That's why I think the all-in thing is going on right now. Seeing the Mac deal, I have utter confidence that they're going to go on a spending spree. Let's see. What about Chris Harris?
Yeah, he said, isn't he old? He answered his own question.
Well, Chris Harris isn't on the team anymore. He's a free agent technically right now. I wouldn't be surprised to hear a retirement answer. We took a chance on him. We gave him some money too. I think he was $10 million a year for 2 years, and he just wasn't there, man. And the Broncos fans warned me. And that's a big difference between the Mac and the Chris Harris stuff, is that all the Bears fans are posting like tribute videos. Like, oh no, it's so sad. And the Broncos fans were telling me, like, we're actually kind of happy Chris Harris is off the team. It's a big difference.
Well, yeah. And it's different too, because what you can still do, even if Khalil Mack's 31, he's still got enough burst to go after and chase the quarterback, right? Like, you can still, Dwight Freeney could still go after and get the quarterback when he was late in his career. He just couldn't do everything for 4 straight quarters. I think Khalil Mack is still a top end player. I think he's still elite. I don't care what anybody says.
Well, I'll say this. I'm very, very confident that Khalil Mack's better than Von Miller right now.
I would have no problem with anybody saying that. Simply Dab came back.
You think the Chargers should go after Trent Brown? I actually am not for Trent Brown. I've never been a fan of Trent Brown. I know he's a decent tackle, but it just seems like he's always had a bad time with every team he's landed on. And he's a free agent once again, and is probably going to get overpaid once again. But what do you think about Trent Brown?
I'm on the same page with you right there. This is going to be like his 3rd team in 4 seasons or something potentially. Yeah. That's not good for me that you can hit the open market like that. Like, eventually you kind of you got to land in the right spot, and somebody's got to say, especially when you're looking for somebody to protect your quarterback always.
Put him in Cincy or Vegas. There's his spots. Honestly, I think the Raiders should go full tank mode. I've seen this take out there, actually. I put a video up, Tony, and I proposed that deal with Deshaun Watson going to Vegas. Deshaun Watson's not going to Vegas. Get that shit up already. But in the comments, I just want to bait all the Raiders fans to turn on Derek Carr so I can use it later, and it worked. It worked beautifully. I saw some takes like this where like we just need to tank because we aren't going to keep up with these guys, even though you have the guy you've been yelling is a top 10 quarterback for 10 years. Carr going to Indy and Jimmy going to Vegas. Same idea as you, Tony.
Yeah, this is great minds think alike, STK.
What's this question? Do you guys think y'all should trade people to free up cap or get a player? I think that not necessarily trade Mini Elias. I think that there are some players that can be cut to free up some space. The top of the list is Brian Bulaga. He's a 10 mil clear. And then I think next up is Linval Joseph, who would clear, I think, 8 or something.
I think you're mistaking Joseph for Justin Jones, because I think Linval Joseph is a free agent and he's looking at a 1-year deal. I think I saw for like, he wants around 6.5. I think it's Justin Jones we have under contract for 1 more season, who we could cut, I believe.
I could be tripping.
Yeah,
I know Justin.
I have
Jones
been accused of being cross-eyed, so maybe I didn't read it correctly. But I would say like there's other cuts that can be made too, to clear up more little fine-tuning. Guys like Josh Kelly's still got some money, clears up like $1.5 million, and Bulaga to me is the big one. I think he's got to go. I do not want to pay him $10 million and then in week 4 on the road, the back goes out or the hip gives out. It's not a good thing for him to carry the weight of that position. Like, we need that offensive line to be solidified. We cannot have another year of having to patchwork with Storm Norton guys and Trey Pipkins and practice squad players. It just needs to be somebody that we're like, all right, this is your job. It might be bumpy, but get out there. And again, that's a position that's very deep. I was watching the Senior Bowl O-line and I watched the combine. Like, these kids can move. And I think back in the day, like when I was watching football, these guys weren't able to kick with both legs. Some of these offensive linemen are playing guard, center, and tackle at a high level. There's a kid, Zion Johnson or something out of like Boston College or some not very well-known school. This kid is a beast, plays all 3 lines, all 3 spots on the offensive line.
I could see it. Yeah, and even if you have to kind of take a risk on somebody, let's take a risk on a young guy that's cheap and it's like an easy, like, okay, well, we can maybe look at people at the trade deadline, or maybe we can look at people next off season where we get a second go at it if we don't get a right tackle via free agency or the first pick in the draft, the 17th pick, I should say. Where do you think Watson will go? I think he's gonna. I've been on Miami ever since they tried to trade for him originally. I think Miami or Carolina are my 2 spots for him, just because I feel like both those teams are ready to line up the 5 first-round picks for him, or 4 first-round picks for him. Yeah, Tony, you're high on Tampa. I agree. Tampa's probably the best fit. They could be a Super Bowl contender in the NFC day 1 with him.
Yeah, I just think Tampa figures out a way to get it done there with him, and maybe it's a 3-way deal. Maybe they loop in something where Tampa trades Tom Brady to the 49ers and he gets his wish and unretires, and the Texans just get a bunch of picks from whatever teams they throw them in. I think the Texans are just going to say, we can include as many people as we want, just keep throwing us picks, players.
Nice. 3-way deal. I like it. Yeah, just keep throwing the picks at me. San Fran sends picks. Yeah. Tampa sends picks. All of it. Yeah, and
everybody gets what they want. The Niners get Tom Brady for 2 years, and the Bucks get a quarterback.
The rights.
What happened?
The rights to Tom Brady.
If Tom gets traded to the 49ers, he's putting on that red and gold in a heartbeat. He's like, sorry, Giselle, see you in 48 months. Bye.
Poor Trey. I think on Sunday we will find out where Deshaun is going. I think in the next couple of days too. If anything, it's going to be before that March 16th when free agency opens. I think he's going to be on a different team. We'll
I
see,
think
though.
the rumors are going to fly all weekend about, it's going to be, Tom Pelissaro reports that this team has inquired about Deshaun. Here's the thing about Carolina. I think the ownership was just forced to sell because of some sort of, lascivious stuff, let's say, with doing with women. So maybe that's not a great spot for them. I don't know. That's just me, like, kind of a bad look. That's why I said Washington wasn't a good spot for him. But it'll be interesting. Hopefully everything clears and the kid can move on with his life.
Jordan Love, STK saying he feels bad for Jordan Love. He wants to see him go to Indy or Carolina. Maybe Jordan Love's the future Raiders quarterback, but Jordan Love probably is going to get traded too. It's going to be for nothing. And someone might take a shot on him once it's like, no one else can do anything. But listen, hear me out. Washington did a very lateral move to Carson Wentz, in my opinion. Not that I think that Carson Wentz is worse than Tyler Heineke. I just feel like he's going to bring the same kind of play, at just a little bit higher level. That real risky, like, I'm just going to leave it all on the field and see what happens type of play. That works sometimes. But usually it doesn't work for an entire season, and it doesn't work in the playoffs for damn sure. I would have rather seen Washington go on a shot on a young guy like a Jordan Love than go for Carson Wentz.
I don't feel bad for Jordan Love at all. He's a professional. He was picked where he was. It sucks for him, but like, you get that much time. I feel like Jordan Love let me down. I mean, Aaron Rodgers ruined stuff for me, so Jordan Love should have ruined things for him, and he didn't. And that's why Aaron Rodgers had all the leverage, and he's still there. So I don't feel bad for Jordan Love at all.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes did prove his way into that spot. Anything you watch about in practice, they said that they knew Patrick Mahomes was a freaking beast that entire time, just waiting to be unleashed on the league. Jordan Love, if you were waiting to be unleashed on the league, LaFleur should know this. The Packers should have moved on.
Yeah. I think there's something with leadership and confidence and whatever else. And I think that's part of what's missing to the Carson Wentz thing before that is like nobody denies the talent. It's just nobody wants to be around him. Like, at least people want to be around Taylor Heineke. They love him. You got Chase Young and Terry McLaurin going to bat for some kid that they know should be the quarterback's assistant coach at best. Like, I take that back. Taylor Heineke's a solid backup. I'd like him as a backup.
I would too. They're looking like Easton Stick's going to be back, though. Nothing on him. I thought that he would have got cut because they're just trying to clear as much cap and then worry about backup quarterback another day. Simply Dab wants to see Ode Ibushi back. I would be down for that, although I feel like the guards that have filled in when we need them to have done very nicely, and I love Filer. I might get a Filer jersey. I talk about him so much. Pick up a speedy wide receiver. I like Josh Palmer just to fill that role. Maybe they draft people, and it's similar to like how Tyron and Jalen have kind of just rotated through as just late draft picks, just giving them a shot with a superstar quarterback in Herbert. Reliable at tight end. We've talked about tight end position. It could be a smaller signing than Gronk. It could just be like a Rob Tunyon come to the team or something. Which then I can really say, Rob, the GOAT, Tunyon. Palmer McKitty developed. That's another guy that I think is sneakily in the running to be our tight end is McKitty. I think that
I don't really
both things.
Yeah, I don't think that it's really that sneaky. I think they just say they're going to throw him out there and say, "Hey, you're on a loaded team. Go out there and be an offensive weapon." Because the kid, he got in some games last year. I remember at the beginning of the season, every time we do a show, I was like, "Why isn't he giving him reps? We're up in these games at the end of some of these games. Like, just put him out there and let him like feel what the crunch of the pads, the game, the movement, the pace." But I could say they just throw him into the fire and be like, "Hey, do your best." I wouldn't be mad about that at all. I don't think you need to have $15 million invested in a tight end. Like, run out Donald Parham and McKitty, and McKitty will get 650 yards with Herbert and probably 5-6 touchdowns. The guy's 6'6" and runs a pretty good 40. Like, just let him get out there and eat because he gets single coverage. Nobody pays attention to him because Mike Williams is amazing. What do you think about Morgan Moses?
I had Morgan Moses slated in one of my little like imaginary scenarios. I like Morgan Moses as an option. I just don't want to pay a non-sure thing player at a position where I'm not going to say it's absolutely vital that we have an elite player there, but I just want someone that I trust there. and I don't fully trust Morgan Moses. So I'd rather get Devondre Campbell or Bobby Wagner than spend the money on Morgan Moses.
I looked at it. Morgan Moses is a little more expensive than even like I put Noteboom on mine. $5 million a year for right tackle. I think that's a good number. Morgan Moses was like $8-9 million. I was like, the Jets have been sorry on offensive line for a while, and they have a bunch of cap space, and they're not signing this guy. Like, why? Yeah. Then why do I want him? That's the red flag for me. Yeah. If they did sign him, I'd welcome him with opening arms. I don't care. I'm going to support who's ever at right tackle this year, as long as their name is not Storm or Norton or anything to do with weather. Yes. Tons at all. I will support them.
And not from the XFL either. So that's our only requirements, Chargers. Go ahead and knock yourself out freaking getting an XFL player named Wendy Charles or something.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. I think that the tackle class is interesting. I think that we're at a disadvantage for these guys that aren't worth the money they're going to get paid, because Teron Armstead is going to just spike the market up for tackles this offseason. He's the big one. He's going to get a max deal, and all these other guys are going to say, you see how important the right tackle spot is? You see what the Bengals gave Teron Armstead? We want half of it.
Isn't he left tackle, though?
I think he's a left tackle, yeah.
Yeah,
the tackles in general, he's going to set the market.
Yeah, so left tackles are the guys that get paid. Right tackles, it's not as lucrative of a position.
Who are you hoping the Chargers pick up in free agency? Yeah, we were just talking about this. If you want to rewind it, Kurt, and we both gave 5 players each. So go back. There's 10. Well, one of them overlaps, so there's 9 different players that we suggested.
Yeah, 9 different, and I think a pretty,
similar game plans, different players, I guess.
Yeah, and there's that kid that I sent you from Washington, that Tim Settle. He's really good.
Yeah, that's an option too. We got a lot of draft picks. We're talking about free agency, and I would be completely happy with the teams that we're lining up in our little scenarios, not even including the draft, which we're going to add a first, second, and third rounder that can contribute, hopefully. Chargers gave up 2. Felke, I ain't even going to read that. I'm surprised.
I didn't acknowledge it either.
Philly talks with Watson. Yeah, it just feels like Philly enters the rumors whenever a quarterback's being moved, but they never really pull the trigger unless they're trading their quarterback away.
Yeah, Howie Roseman loves to be part of the conversation. Yeah. I think that's part of his thing. All of a sudden, rumors are flying about Fletcher Cox and stuff, and he's probably telling people, "Yeah, we're entertaining. You're not trading Fletcher Cox right now."
I don't think so. I think that they're going to pick up a receiver and give it a shot, try and make the playoffs again.
Yeah, they just re-signed Jason Kelce for $14 million, which I know we're talking Chargers, but I love it when people support their young quarterbacks. It's the same thing that the Chargers did. They go out, they get Corey Lindsey was so vital to the success of the offense and everything. When you can get a smart center that can get up there, direct the line, help out the young quarterback, you can't fully evaluate a young quarterback without a functioning center and left tackle. You just have to have it.
Yeah, some people would call them the Tom Brady of centers.
They would, and they'd be right.
Fun fact, Tyrod Taylor has a Super Bowl ring. I remember that. I remember those days when Tyrod Taylor came out of Baltimore and went to Buffalo. I was a young lad growing up in the world. Elbow cough. Okay. I like Storm Norton as a back. I don't. Simply, Dad, we just can't do it anymore. He can't be on the roster because for some reason he has some kind of magic that he uses that gets him into the lineup somewhere, somehow.
Dab, my wife, who watches like 3 football games a year, was like, who's number 74? This guy's getting beat every time. He's terrible. And I was like, it's okay. And I was like trying to stay positive. She's like, 74 again. Oh, look, he got beat. He didn't even stand up. And I'm like, okay, please stop reminding me. Stop. I don't want to watch him. I'm trying to watch the offense. And he was just getting toasted.
Wait until she gets to see Jimmy Garoppolo in the Raiders uniform. She's going to enjoy that one.
I told her, I said, you're supposed to be watching Herbert. She's like, he's so bad, I can't look away. It's like, that's not how this works.
That's what me and Tony talked about multiple times, and it may not end up that way. We may end up in a spot where it's like, okay, we really need the tackle. we really need the cornerback still because we didn't get the guys we wanted, or we really need the D lineman because we didn't get a guy that we want. We didn't get a Sebastian Day. We didn't get a DJ Jones. But we are in a spot whereas if the cards fall the right way free agency wise and the Chargers sign the right players, that we can draft best position available that isn't like center or quarterback or any of the positions that we have locked down for 5 years to come. So it's going to be interesting.
There's going to be so many players at that position. I'm not sure Telesco is going to know like what to do.
He's going to have plan F ready to go if he needs it.
Yeah. I think you could flip a coin literally and you could be like, all right, Traylon Burks, Jordan Davis, one of these corners is going to fall. That's going to be a stud.
And I've decided, I went back and forth with this for a while, that if we're going to yoke up this team, let's yoke up the special teams also. I'm down with drafting that kid. Wherever they got to do it, wherever they feel is the spot, that it's maybe a little bit of a reach, but for sure you're going to get him. Get that punter out of San Diego State. I'm down for it.
Oh, after the free agency's over and we do our episode for draft talk, I'm pushing really hard that our 3rd round pick is Matt Ariza out of San Diego State.
I like it.
I'm not even joking. Like this kid he brings excitement. He brings anticipation. You're going to have players on the Chargers going over and be like, oh, we're punting for the first time this game. Let's see what the kid does for a show. Like they're going to want to see if he can hit a 75-yarder. That's exciting. Yeah. That's good for the team.
Yeah, I would love it. And he's a kid just coincidentally from San Diego, went San Diego State.
Yeah, and he's a weapon. We need that weapon.
Yep, he's another weapon. All right, we answered all the questions. I feel like it was a good show.
That's awesome. This is fun. I miss this. I miss this. Me and Mike do this like once a week. I text Mike, hey, Mike, can you chat just 5 minutes? And next thing I know, I look down at my phone. You've been talking for an hour and 37 minutes. And I'm like, oh, shit. I have so many things that I need to do.
You have responsibilities.
Yeah, I can only say that out loud because I know my wife will never watch this show, especially not this far in. And she won't know that I waste an hour and a half at least once a week talking to Mike on the phone.
Yeah, maybe you're doing something productive while you're talking. Like,
I'm not. No. Reading a book and talking? Like, I couldn't even host a show and spell the word done. Or down. What was I trying to spell? I couldn't even host a show and spell the word down at the same time.
You can do the dishes.
Yeah, but this is good. I think next week, what do you think? Maybe trying to reconvene. I know you got a busy class schedule, but maybe we try and do something.
Let's do it.
Like maybe a short breaking Wednesday night. We reconvene, Chargers, Bolt fam, and talk about all the free agency.
Yeah, let's see if news breaks. We might have to do 2. But yeah, maybe Wednesday or Friday night, one of the 2, depending on what we're looking at in the free agency, because it opens up Wednesday morning, right? So Wednesday, a ton of players are going to get signed. 10 players are going to get signed.
NFL Network is starting its free agency frenzy coverage Sunday. They're doing like a few hours, and then Monday is like the legal tampering time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Monday opens up where people can start talking because they want to give an idea, right? Because it's like they always come in and they say, oh, it's reported this player is going here. And then a team finds out and they're like, they call the agent, hey, what does that contract look like? We could give you a little more guaranteed money, or we could give you this, or, like, hey, do you like private jets? Our owner, we'll fly your whole family, or what, like that kind of stuff.
For guys like Bobby Wagner, who is one of the guys on the Chargers interest list, by the way, guys.
I think there's going to be a total bid fest for Bobby Wagner. I would love him to be a Charger, but I think Bobby Wagner, who has a Super Bowl, is going to say which contender is going to pay me the most money.
Yeah, and Jerry Jones will give him the same amount of money he gave his illegitimate child this last week.
Yeah, a court date. Cab fare to the courthouse. I think, Felke's here.
You saw this story,
Felke? This Felke, your Cowboys are so close to falling apart. And I know Mike's going to get all sad and defensive of you or whatever. You guys are cutting players left and right. You've Greg the Leg Zerline's gone. Like, you guys next year are going to be an overpaid DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons on defense. Gonna
Yeah,
be.
I'm starting to realize that the Cowboys are almost doing like a mini rebuild, like a little like with stars rebuild. We'll call it like a rebuild with a quarterback.
I talked to you about this last week. I said they're in trouble and they're regretting this
I still don't think they're
contract.
in trouble because they're in the worst division in football. I wish we could trade places with them. Actually,
Oh, would I love that? We need to do a division. We need to do a division swap. Because here's the thing: is we actually beat good teams. Okay, as we're like, you guys only beat your division and then suck against everybody else. We beat good teams.
that's a whole other can of worms, Tony. Oh, see, and this is where this leads, and that's when I start to get triggered. So I think we're gonna wrap it up, STK. We're gonna stop there. We're gonna hit the brakes there. He's a lot better than Derek Carr.
And Felke, for the record, Herbert could never throw interceptions like Favre. Favre's one of a kind. Nobody throws interceptions like Brett Favre. That's why he has 323 of them.
One of a kind interception thrower.
Yep.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is Devolved. We appreciate you guys. If you're just tuning in, you tuned in late. We talked about the Mike Williams signing early on and our opinions on the contract. We also talked about the Khalil Mack trade earlier on in the show. If you want to rewind and rewatch it back. And we gave 9 players that we'd like to see the Chargers go after in free agency here in the next couple of days. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Tony, any last words for the fabulous people in the chat?
No, I would just want to say, what up, Simply Dab? Glad to see he's back here. STK, had a blast talking with him. Can't wait. I'm so excited for football season. Bolts up.
Before y'all go anywhere, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed, and turn on notifications. Things are picking up, ladies and gentlemen, and I can't wait to see 52 and 97 just body slamming fools.
San Diego Chargers are fortunate to have Lance Allworth.
Don Coryell.